welcome back. It's another beautiful day in Boulder. I'm so happy to have you here. I'd love it if you would all stand and sing along with me. Podium to move. Where did it go? Where's the podium? Oh, there you are.
Thank you, Nicole. Welcome everyone to Unity of Boulder. What a beautiful morning. And welcome our live streamers at home. And do we have anyone visiting who's new today or first time here? Oh, we have special gift bags for you. If our ushers could bring them forward, leave your hands up if you would, and we'll bring you a special welcome gift. We have a few announcements today. Cintisha will be back speaking next week, so save the date. And let me see, I need to put my glasses on. We are recruiting choir members right now. If anybody's a singer and they'd like to try out or just try their voice in choir, we'd love to have you. The choir is planning on performing for Welcome Back Sunday. So there's a rehearsal the Thursday before Welcome Back Sunday, which is August 22nd. So please show up. I believe choir rehearsal's at 6:30 that Thursday. Or give our office a call or stop by the office and let us know, and we'll get you on that mailing list for a reminder. We are in need of a few volunteers to help out in the youth department and the Sunday school, and it wouldn't require every Sunday commitment. You can just sign up for one Sunday a month or 2 Sundays a month or once every other month. It's up to you. We'd love your help, and you get to help nurture the spiritual growth of our children here at Unity. And just a quick reminder, we will be returning to 2 services on August 22nd. That's Welcome Back Sunday. And please invite your friends so they can see what we're all about. Thank you.
come into the presence of this room, settle in, relax deeply, feel ourselves, feel each other. I'm going to offer a prayer of gratitude. Dear Mother, Father, God, Divine Spirit, Divine Creator, God in all of our hearts, we are an instrument of your peace. We are a clear and perfect channel of your love, your healing. We feel your presence. We feel your presence within us. We know ourselves. As we serve you, we serve humanity. Thank you for the golden light of healing and love and the white light of protection. Thank you for this moment to be present with you, with ourselves, and with each other. Thank you for the grace, joy, laughter, happiness, challenge, growth, protection, and pure love in our lives. Thank you for all the ways you speak to us through our experience and through the people that you bring into our lives. We are so grateful for the power of God inside of each one of us, the power of our own divinity to be, to do, and to experience all that life has to offer. Thank you so much for the courage to step out of our comfort zone, embrace life in all of its glory, and pursue our life's purpose and share our unique gifts with this world. Help us to never doubt the world is a better place with each of us in it. We are so grateful for our own spiritual awareness, to live fully present in each moment, grounded and centered, no matter what the outer circumstances. And in those moments, if we lose our way, please remind us of your presence within us, and guide us back onto our path. Thank you for the divine strength and wisdom within each one of us to overcome and learn from all of life's challenges. We know within ourselves there is no challenge we cannot overcome. It is in deep faith that no matter as it seems, the outcome will always be to our highest, greatest good, and be the best outcome possible. Thank you for the shared experience in this wonderful sanctuary and community, fully connected to your divine presence and to each other by love, joy, empathy, compassion, and kindness for each other and with all humanity. Thank you so much for the gift of music, song, and the spiritual message we are about to receive. Please bless all of those today who share their gifts with us. And we thank you for the different ways these wonderful people and their gifts will touch our hearts, bless our lives, and guide our souls. Please let us go through this day, through this week, through our lives, grounded and centered in harmony and in kindness for all living beings. And be respectful, live in awe, and protect this beautiful world we live in. Please continue to enlighten our minds with truth, inflame our hearts with love, inspire our courage, our will with courage, and enrich each other's life and service. And for all humanity, teach us peace. Let us only be peace. Let's only give peace. Thank you so much for this community and our family and our friends and our health and all of our blessings and many more to come. Amen.
This is an adaptation from an Irish lullaby, and this instrument here is it's an East Indian instrument called a shruti box. Sleepers, awaken. Darkest fears and left you here, and the sun it shines so clear, and the sun it shines so clear. Oh, awake, for the world looks wonderful. Oh, glorious golden sun, your song of light you bring, and when we turn away, your silver sister moon does sing, and once again we face your glory and your grace, and those whom sleep still takes. Sleepers, awaken, the night has gone and taken your darkest fears and left you here, and the sun it shines so clear, and the sun it shines so clear. Oh, awake, for the world looks wonderful. Oh, awake, for the world looks wonderful.
Thank you, Dinah. That was beautiful. Our guest speaker today has been a Unity student since the age of 8 years old. Her first publication was in Unity magazine called We Wisdom. She is currently a teaching professor at the University of Colorado here in Boulder, and she teaches meditation and sustainability as well as literature. Please welcome to our Unity of Boulder stage, Cathy Comstock.
It's so nice to have some plants out in the audience. Thank you for letting me know right away. And thank you for all of you who are also watching electronically. I've been promised that some people are at home at this very moment, a whole family, eating popcorn and blowing me air kisses as this takes place. It's becoming such an interesting world with consciousnesses coming in from all directions. When Santisha first asked me to speak here, I have a lot of pressures right now, especially with school starting. So I said, well, I have to think about it for a couple of days. And then I thought of the kind of people who come to Unity, and I called her back in a minute and said, I'll be there. This is such a great opportunity. And one of the reasons that I think it's such a great opportunity is there's some things I've really been wanting to tell you that I've discovered in just the last year or two as part of my teaching for classes in meditation and sustainability. Discoveries that make it as though we have our own superpowers. You know, I always wanted to have superpowers, and all I could ever seem to do was get high boots. But Lately, I found it's even better than that. In fact, what the Dalai Lama has always said he thought is the way life works is that science and spirituality are coming together. The best neuroscience and the best meditative spirituality to show us remarkable potentials we have for health, for happiness, for states that we could hardly imagine otherwise. And I love it that the science supports this as well as the spirituality, which I'm sure many of you have experienced already. Another thing I especially wanted to tell you about this I've found is that you can do it fast and easy, so don't worry that you have to meditate for 40,000 hours to achieve this. This is a time when I especially wanted to, because it seems to me it's so important to understand our magnificent capacities. As Santisha has often said up here, and she said it so beautifully, for the past year and a half, it's been such a hard time for so many people, the isolation, the suppression, the destruction. And above all, for me, what was such a painful thing was seeing so much fear. And especially because, ironically, fear is probably the worst thing we can do for our health in this time of going into so much retreat from disease. Now, though, we're starting to see wonderful ways that we don't have to be afraid. Wonderful ways we can use both our conscious mind and our meditative mind to generate substances such as abundant immunoglobulin, which I can hardly say, but it feels really good to have. It works well regardless of whether I can say it. And so that we'll know that we don't ever have to be faced down by fear again. Now, I know, as I was saying, that the minute I mention meditation, that scares people sometimes, because not only they think, oh no, I've been meaning to meditate, but I really haven't. Oh, I'm a bad person. And this is the other part that is so wonderful. It takes very little to achieve the states I'm going to talk about today. Some people have put together the best parts of all meditative techniques that are bringing people to the states you used to think you'd be a monk in the mountains for years and years and years to achieve. And they're getting that way within a day or two at retreats. But first, I want to talk about a great way to stimulate good health, even without meditating, just using your conscious awareness. And one of the best parts about this is it comes straight from the skeptical world of medicine, and it's the placebo effect. Now, as I assume most of you know, we've always thought of a lot of times we thought of the placebo effect as something fake, but it's not fake at all. The placebo effect is the body showing the spectacular things that it can do for us if we only have the faith, if we only have the focus. And along with the placebo, of course, the nocebo effect, the negative effect, which is also something to be very careful about. One of the ironies of finding out about this wonderful innate healing mechanism is that the medical world, for the most part, hates it. They think it is such a nuisance. It gets in the way of testing those great drugs. And the worst part is you might not even need the drugs if you knew how to use the placebo effect. But a wonderful way to find out more about this, and the more you learn about it, the more you'll experience it. Because whatever we feed the mind is what it reflects, and it turns states into traits as you keep focusing in the same area. And this is a TED Talk by Dr. Lissa Rankin, wonderful MD, talking about endless scientific evidence that we can heal ourselves. See, I'll have the first slide up here, please. Okay. I'll probably bring this up a couple of times because it has a lot of information. The first line is my email address if you want to tell me what a terrible talk it was later or anything like that. Ask any questions. This talk I'm discussing right now is there scientific proof we can heal ourselves? Just Google that and it will come up. I'm also going to talk about another fantastic TED Talk about how mindfulness changes the life of the brain from a great neuroscientist, and some other resources. So here's the advantage of the fact we're doing things online now. You can, at any time, I don't know how many of you realize this because it took me a while to track it down. Any time after a talk, just if you want to see the material of the talk again, for instance, any part of this information, just go to youtube.com and then go to Unity of Boulder Church, and you'll see all the recent talks. It's just a wonderful treasury to have to turn to. So if this gets a little overwhelming with that material, just go back and check it out later on. So in this wonderful TED Talk, she tells us about the way that over 35,000 cases of every kind of disease, including stage 4 cancer, has been healed in this way, along with some wonderful suggestions for how you can use this yourself. And she gives some very dramatic examples. For instance, there is she talks about a man, interestingly, whose name is Mr. Right, and he really is right for a while, though sadly it goes wrong, but who was terribly, terribly ill. He had tumors, some the size of grapefruit, all through his body. They were having to pump his lungs every day just for him to live. His doctor didn't think he was going to make it through the weekend, but this man heard about a wonder drug, and he got really excited about it, and he thought, this is going to do it. This is going to heal me. And the doctor was reluctant. He didn't think the person had a chance of surviving, but just because this was a really great doctor, he went ahead and gave it to him anyway, even though he had to go through a lot of protocols. And he comes back to the hospital on Monday expecting to find this person has passed over the weekend. And the man's tumors have shrunk by 50%. In 10 days, they're entirely gone. And this goes on for 2 months. This person's getting to be in better and better health when the news comes out that the medical community doesn't think this drug is very good. This sends Mr. Wright into a sad state of depression, and within days, he's terribly ill again. So his doctor, one of those great souls, seeing, understanding, even though this was a while ago, the placebo mechanism at work here, said to him, oh, don't worry, that was a bad form of that drug, because I've got a good form of the drug. You'll love this drug. And he just gave him some extensive shots of saline. But the man believed it, and once again, all the tumors went away. He started to be in wonderful health. Once again, it lasted for 2 months. And then the news comes out from the AMA, no, this drug is no good whatsoever. We've proved it now. And poor Mr. Wright felt even more deeply depressed and died within 2 days. It's one of the especially dramatic examples of the way the mind can affect us. So there are so many of these. My own optometrist told me about people who have multiple personalities, and they have different prescriptions for their lenses according to the personality. And if you're hypnotized, you can get perfect vision. It's just they haven't figured out how to do it once you're no longer hypnotized. So the possibilities are remarkable, and I think you'll find this a very enjoyable and helpful talk if you go to it. I also want to throw in my own personal experience in this way. I loved it. I thought it was so brave and so good of her. When Santisha was up here a couple of weeks ago, saying she wasn't worried about variants of COVID, which some of my friends call scariants, because she believed the unity philosophy that we as children of God do not inherit disease. This may sound a little esoteric if you haven't been exposed to it, but I watched this with my mom. My mom was always, she had the flu, she had colds, she was coughing, she was sneezing. It made me so sad because I think she was about to laugh and she'd be about to sneeze or something. And then she found, the other worst part, she always had a tooth that bothered her. And if you ever have teeth that bother you, they can bother you instantly the minute that you think about it. So she was constantly absorbed with these things and in pain. And then she discovered unity and adopted this philosophy, and everything changed. She never looked at herself in that way again. She had wonderful health. And I think it was that influence which, for me, meant that in combination with my meditation practice, that I've been teaching at the University of Colorado for about 1,000 years now. And in all that time, I haven't missed a day of class for illness, which my students are really disappointed about. They think it's really unfair if they never get a day off. And so I wanted to tell you about a little experiment you can do to help reinforce these understandings in your own mind-body circuit. It's an experiment that helped me get even more healthy as time went by, so that after a while I wouldn't even have symptoms anymore. Which again goes against another negative cultural narrative that the older you get, the more decrepit you're going to be. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can just get better and better. We know it from watching what can happen with the brain. The first thing to do, of course, is to not keep thinking and talking about disease and ill health. This can start to hypnotize us into illness. And heaven knows, if you look at the TV, we are supposed to get Excedrin headaches and horrific hemorrhoids and very uncomfortable world. No one is able to sleep, and even if you take their product, you may go crazy or become suicidal, as they mention, as they tell you about this product. You know, it's not surprising that Americans have some of the worst health in the world. We're about 37 down on the list of good health, and we spend twice as much on health care as anybody else. But we are bombarded with not placebos, but nocebos. And that's something that it takes a certain vigilance to be careful about in a culture that makes a lot of money out of telling us we're sick, unfortunately. Now, the video I'm telling you about, she has all sorts of good ideas about how to build your health, all the way from love to service to gratitude, pleasure, all things that I'm sure you would understand and make part of your lives. But I want to give you my own particular little experiment, which I think is really interesting as a specific way to do it. One of the most important parts about the placebo is to have faith that you're going to be healthy. And just doing these sorts of things, avoiding the negative, constantly thinking of yourself as supercharged, all those things will help. But this was fascinating to me, and my students have done this and had good effects with it too. Years ago, sometimes I would wake up with some symptoms of a disease, and that make me really nervous because I teach meditation classes. I thought, this looks very bad. So what I learned to do is to take two things that are good for you anyway, no bad side effects, unlike so many drugs, and to focus on their effects. In other words, try to find a focus for your faith. I think that really helps a lot, especially in our particular culture, to have that sense that this is going to do it. And so one of them is Echinacea, which I'd read pumps up the immune system in 20 different ways. I would always take it in a tincture of alcohol, and that was a whole other good reason to take it. Great experience. In addition, vitamin C, there's some really absorbable forms. One of them is called emergent C, but there are others without sugar in them that go down really easily, 1,000 grams. Vitamin C wraps up the toxins in your body and takes them out. So I would not only get up and take these things, I'd tell myself these things were going on. And anytime I'd feel a symptom during the day, I'd take more. And I'd tell myself again, immune system going up 20 times and toxins getting taken out. And sure enough, I wouldn't develop anything. Then after a while, that would happen. I'd get up with a symptom, and I'd think, oh, that'll do it. And I'd forget to do it. And then the next day, I'd realize I'd forgotten, but it didn't make any difference because the fear was gone. I was already certain I was going to be okay. And then in the long run, I just stopped having symptoms at all, which is probably made even more remarkable when you know that I was around about 100 college students with COVID on and off this last year. College students don't really understand the idea of social distancing. And it's wonderful. They're just let's all be together. And but I wasn't touched by it. And believe me, I was tested like 3 million times because that makes the university feel more secure. And I think this has to do not only with little experiments like that, but also with the effects of meditation, which I want to tell you more about, some of the remarkable science. Because not only are we finding that it can do tremendous things for our health, Deepak Chopra calls this our inner pharmacy, which I think is just a great concept. But even better, it can fill us with the best kind of well-being, with intoxicating pleasure. In fact, there's one genetics researcher I especially love. His name is Dawson Church. He's written a book called Bliss Brain. Is that not a great idea? Bliss Brain. Thank you for putting that up there again. Boy, these are really smart people up here. Which is, you can get those resources online, and if you do, even without buying the book, just going to Bliss Brain, you'll see a lot of resources online, which includes an echo meditation that has had tremendous effects that I want to give you some experience of in a few minutes. What he's done here is brought together the best parts of 6 different meditative techniques, and he's found that people who come to his workshops, their whole lives go, I try to meditate, it never works, and I'm psychotic, I must be. That feeling any of us can get when we sit down and our mind is like a crazy monkey running around. And they find when they do this combination, which he actually leads all sorts of forms of it online, that within a couple of days they're having remarkable results. I want to give you a description, in fact, of what happens in meditation when Dawson Church sits down to meditate, and the 7 brain chemicals of bliss that can come cascading into your mind and body when you meditate this way. And before I tell you that, let me tell you also that even when he'd had very painful surgery, he found that rather than taking painkillers, he could sit down, do this meditation, and the chemicals that would release into his body were so powerful that he didn't have to take any pain medication. And I found something similar to this myself. It's like having your own morphine drip. Really nice thing to have with you when you want it. If you feel discomfort or pain, you tap into this meditative feeling, it releases these chemicals, and you feel great again. So I want to read you this description that he has because I love it so much. Every time I read it, I want to go out and meditate for hours. He calls this the 7 drugs of bliss, or getting high on your own supply. So he says, when I meditate, I can feel the moment when each drug in the cocktail kicks in. He calls it a cocktail of pleasure. First, I release any and every negative thought, emotion, and energy. This drops my level of cortisol. Next, I close my eyes and focus. Dopamine kicks in as I anticipate the delicious hormone and neurotransmitter drug cocktail I'm about to be rewarded with. Ingredient 1. My mind starts to wander. My email inbox. Dopamine brings me back to focus, aided by norepinephrine. I'm motivated. I'm back. Norepinephrine stimulates my attention. Ingredient 2. Then I realize that my body's uncomfortable, but my neurons secrete beta endorphin. The discomfort drops away and being in a body feels wonderful. Ingredient 3. I tune into all that I love. I'm lost in bliss brain as serotonin, the satisfaction drug, kicks in. Ingredient 4. I feel one with the universe. Oxytocin starts to flow as I bond with everything. Ingredient 5. That releases nitric oxide and anandamide. Ingredients 6 and 7. I float out of my body on a cloud of bliss. This is especially adorable if you see him. He's this huge guy. And the idea of him just floating up there is a miracle in itself. As much as I love his echo meditation, I've been following the best meditations for a while now, including the one that is the Dalai Lama's favorite, the one that, in fact, out of all the meditations that they've done studies on, they all seem to have similar effects, except this one is even better because it also will dissolve depression better than any of the other meditations, the prayer of loving kindness. And there's a wonderful way to do this. You can do it in just 3 minutes. That it comes at the end of that TED Talk with Richard Davidson that I mentioned about how mindfulness shapes the brain. All of these have one essential ingredient in common, and this is what I really care about. Dawson has a lot of great things in his meditation. They don't all work for me. They work great for the people at his workshops. But I want to give you a meditation that will have the most important one in it. And in order to do that, it's important for you to have a little bit of preparation before we go into that. So what I'd like you to do, just sitting here for a minute before we start the meditation, is to think about someone you love. If not a person, it could be a pet. I find them more lovable in general than people, but people, there's possibilities there. It can be a place you've been where you feel totally at peace in nature, or the sun is drenching out all the stress as you lie on the beach. Just think of something that fills you with total well-being. Don't let any complications in. This is just that which makes you feel the very best. Because what we find in all of these meditations is that the most important ingredient for getting you quickly into this intoxicating state, deeply into it, that he describes, is love. Love is the most motivating, mobilizing capacity that we have. And we always know it when we feel it. So that's why I'm asking you in advance to have that ready for when we reach that part of the meditation. Okay, so now that you've done the hard work, you can settle back and we'll have some soft meditation music, I hope. Maybe a little too soft. Josh, can you? There, it's starting. It starts out kind of low. All right. Let your eyelids drift down lightly. Feel a golden veil of peace and ease settling over your head, touching your mouth, flowing down through your throat, over your chest and your back, a golden soothing energy that now flows over your legs, pools around your feet. Now feel that sweet, comforting glow, relaxing each one of your toes from the outside to the inside. Now releasing your calves and your knees. Now relaxing your thighs, your legs getting a little heavier and a little warmer, until finally this sweet energy forms a deeply soothing golden pool at the base of your spine. That relaxing glow now fills your spine and your torso. It releases your arms and your chest. As you let all your air out with great peace and feel your lungs spring back to fill you with fresh oxygen. Now feel your jaw melting away and your mouth relaxing, even the tongue letting go. Feel your eyes relaxing all the way to the back of the head. Now this golden presence flows into your head, filling the brain and the scalp with soothing energy, until finally your whole body is filled with this deep golden peace. Now from this place of peace, send a beam of golden energy to your heart. Feel it filling up with your warmth and caring. Your dear heart that goes through so much and cares so much. And now send all of that comforting energy out from your heart center to some focus of your love. Let it rest there, bringing affection and deep well-being and filling everyone, everything with that. If you feel a certain protectiveness toward that being or place that you love, that's especially good. Now send that beam back to your heart, filling it even fuller with the radiance of all that you love. And again, feel that radiance filling your body, filling your mind, taking you to places of peace and pleasure that are where you're meant to be. coming back on the count of 3. 3, feeling the room around you. 2, feeling your body in the chair. 1, getting ready to open your eyes whenever it's comfortable. And you can end the music there, Josh. Thank you. I hope that gives you a glimpse of the inner power that you have. A power which of its very nature not only brings the best to you, but reaches out to encompass others. The other day I was on a really interesting, beautiful walk, looking at dragonflies, which are like floating little jewels with wings. And the people who are on these walks are some of the most delightful. And I started talking to a woman who was very kind and thoughtful, but so sad. She said, I'm very old and I've seen so much suffering and I don't think we're getting any better. I think we're getting worse. And they're my days. I have felt that way too. But I found myself responding instead that I didn't think that was true. I think we are on a wonderfully upward incline in all sorts of ways. I mean, when you think about it, there have been all kinds of times through history when people didn't even think that racism or sexism or abuse of animals or children was a bad idea. And now we are trying so hard, and what I said to her gives me the most hope in my own life, as it does Eckhart Tolle, who also sees us as constantly becoming more and more awake. For me, what encourages me is that I see so many people so interested in meditation. And she said, well, my husband was a philosopher, and he says meditation is just another self-absorbed thing to do. You could tell he's never meditated, but why should that bother him? And I understood why he would feel that way, but in my experience, it's the very opposite. This is the inreach to a goodness we hardly can even believe of ourselves until we encounter it, and one that inherently turns to positive outreach to others. And in my life, I've had the good fortune to see my students changed year after year when they're so young and they have so many problems and so little clue about what to do about them. And yet, they take up meditation and things change remarkably. One of my more amusing ones, but very dramatic, was a young man who looked like a middleweight fighter who hadn't said anything the whole class. I think he took it because his sister told him to. But at the end of the semester, he raised his hand and said, the way this class has changed me is that now when I get mad at someone, I don't beat them up anymore. And there was another young man in the class who lived in his hall. He says, it's true, Miss Comstock. We've all noticed that no one's getting hurt anymore. But in addition to that, which might not be the challenge most of you have, my students constantly talk about the way they find their empathy growing, and that as it does, they find their problems that used to plague them so much, whether it's distraction or depression or an eating or a sleeping disorder, that they all dissolve away at the same time that their compassion for others grows. I hope you will also give yourself the chance by giving even just a few minutes a day. Even just a few minutes will do it. Will change the shape of your brain, will change the patterns of your brain, will shrink the alarm centers and grow the peace and calmness centers. Just a few minutes a day. And by thinking positively about your health and your life, to feel these inner pools of goodness and possibility and intoxicating pleasure, best of all. And to know that all those superheroes that we love to watch in the movies can't compare to the extraordinarily gifted and glorious person that you already are, or save the world half so well as you can with every moment of your loving presence. Thanks so much for this time together.
Thank you, Cathy, for that beautiful, insightful talk. We will take an offering for unity now, if the ushers could please come forward. Unity of Boulder is a nonprofit community supported solely by your donations and contributions that you so generously give, especially during these months of the pandemic. You've really helped keep us thriving. We welcome the live streamers to give as well. You can give at unityofboulder.com. Just click on the Give tab, or we have a text to give phone number here you can use as well. If for some reason you are not able to give financially, we do welcome volunteers to help with donating their time in many different departments. Just come see me in the office, and I will tell you where you're needed. So if you could please take your offerings in your hands, and we will bless it with this offering statement. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give.
Okay. Please welcome back to the stage one of our most beloved Unity vocalists, Dinah Snow. Dinah is an experienced leader and workshop facilitator with decades of vocal performance experience in choirs, as a soloist, in bands, and with her women's a cappella trio, Alethea Rising. Dinah enjoys the creative process of composing vocal music, working with other musicians and documentarians on recording projects and theatrical performances, and the empowering experience of vocal coaching. She holds vocal coaching certificates in the vocal yoga and vocal wave methods. Dinah, you're such a vital part of our musical community. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. That was like a lot. I feel blessed.
Standing in the shadow of the hill. I'm standing in the shadow of the hill. Feel a fever everywhere. Hope it don't get me killed. I'm standing in the shadow of the hill. I'm standing in the shadow, walking blind. I've been low, unfair, and unkind. Turned away from your suffering far too many times. Now I'm standing in the shadow, walking blind. Sister, brother, there's a fire on the hill, and it's burning like a lantern, making all this time stand still. Ooh, I'm standing. standing in the shadow of the hill.
All right. Time for our closing benediction. You're going to sing with us, right? Okay, good. All right, ready? Yeah. I release
And I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Thank you, God, for you. Hey, we got coffee and tea in Fellowship Hall after the service, and the gift store's open. We'll see you next week. Santisha will be back.
Great. Thank you so much, Dinah. Thank you, Dr. Cathy Comstock. Have a great day, everybody.